says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a gold dry.
You heard it right there. Country Boy Can't Survive. We played that song at the beginning of this podcast because one of the greatest UFC champions and greatest welterweights of all time, Matt Hughes, is in critical condition. His truck was struck by a train while he was trying to cross the tracks, and we don't really know the state of his condition, but we know he was airlifted. That happened this morning at about 10:45 a.m., and we just know that he has some sort of head trauma, but there's no other word. Cody, Matt Hughes, man, we hope we're pulling for him.
Yes, definitely praying for Matt Hughes and his family. I remember watching him, I guess when I first got back into watching the sports, when I first became a fan again, he was the welterweight champion. And I watched him dominate a lot of guys and had a lot of fun watching his fights.
Yeah.
Praying for Matt Hughes and his family and for speedy and full recovery.
Yeah, if we get any more news on it, we'll update you. We'll update you guys as soon as we do. But as of right now, this is all we know at the moment. Keep in mind, if this podcast does drop and any more information comes along before we're off the air, that this will probably be about a day late, because it generally takes about a day, 12 hours or so to edit this thing together. So, yeah, Cody, just off the top of your head, man, Matt Hughes, do you have a favorite fight with him or anything like that? Just we're talking about the guy?
You got to go back to Carlos Newton when he powerbombed him and knocked him out.
Yeah.
Carlos Newton had him in a triangle, and it was deep. And Matt Hughes had the strength to pick him up, set him on the cage for a minute, to where I guess he could kind of catch all the breath he could, and then slam him to the ground. And when he slammed him to the ground, Newton's head hit off the canvas and knocked him out.
Yeah, Matt Hughes was pretty groggy too there. That was one of the best finishes I've ever seen in an MMA fight at all.
Man, back in those days, Iowa was tearing it up at Team Militich. They had Matt Hughes, you had Tim Sylvia, was a heavyweight champion. You had another guy was a champion from Militich too. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, so Matt Hughes has provided us plenty of great moments, and we're just going to keep praying for his family, and hope for the best.
He had teased a comeback fight in Bellator.
That's right,
not
yeah.
long ago. So,
he actually did, yeah.
He got let go from the UFC when they got bought out, or when they sold, rather. Not got bought out, but yeah, he got let go from them. He was teasing a career of doing a fight in Bellator.
So Matt Hughes, get better.
Tragic.
Yeah, just get better. Prayers for Matt Hughes and his family. Let's get into the brunt tax of things. Of course, we got to start this off with news that broke a couple days ago. It is finally official. Mark the date. Floyd Mayweather is going to box Conor McGregor on August 26th in Las Vegas. Just off the top of your head, Cody, shoot.
I never thought this fight was going to happen, ever. And if it did happen, I never thought it would happen this quick. It's amazing that they negotiated, because both of those sides they're greedy. And I can't believe that they actually came to an agreement. But, hell, this is going to be a summer to look forward to something at the end of it, now.
Yeah.
It's probably the biggest sporting event of the year.
Oh, no doubt. And it's just, we're going to talk about it here more in depth in a second, but it's, and we'll definitely be talking about it down the line and as the date gets closer for sure. But it's one of those things that I think is going to be more spectacle than it actually, I don't think a lot of people are going to buy it for the fight itself. I think everybody's going to buy it just because it's going to be one of those things that you can't miss, and then the trash talking and the promos and the hype behind it is just going to be out of this world.
Oh man, they're going to sell it, no doubt. People were asking on Luke Thompson's show the other day, he said, do you think it's going to outsell Pacquiao and Mayweather? To me, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, because
Pacquiao has a following now, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But the whole MMA community is going to buy this fight to see McGregor. If you like him or if you hate him, because I don't care for him at all. Hate's a strong word, but I don't care. I hate Jinder Mahal. I don't care for McGregor. So I'm going to buy a fight just to watch him fight. And and I'm actually going to pull from McGregor. It's probably the first fight I ever pulled from McGregor.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. So here's a couple little information about the fight. We're not going to do a tail of the tape thing. We'll do that later on down the line. But fight's going to be 12 rounds. No title is going to be on the line, and it's going to be a 154-pound weight limit. So that seems like it's right up there in Conor's alley. He has to make 155 to fight at lightweight, and that's not too far from what he walks around at. So I think you'll see him in, probably his best condition for this fight.
I agree with you 100%. He looked better against Eddie Alvarez than I've ever seen him look in a UFC fight, and he was at 155 pounds.
So he really couldn't have asked any better for as far as the weight limit and stuff like that goes. Now, with all that being said, of course, this is a no-brainer. Floyd Mayweather is a heavy favorite. And, me and you were talking about the odds on this, and I don't know exactly what they are, but the odds don't even really show how big of a favorite the odds don't even show how big of a favorite Mayweather is right now, because
what I look at is Floyd is minus 1,100, which means you put up 100. If Floyd wins, you win 100. If Floyd loses, you lose 1,100. So it pretty much matches the money you put up. Now McGregor is plus 700, which means you put 100 on McGregor, you win 700, and if you lose 100. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. So you think a lot of people are gonna probably put odds on McGregor, but that's certainly going to be inflated though.
Michael Bisping was probably somewhere in that ballpark. 750, something like that, against Rockhold. So this is one of the biggest ones I've seen.
Yeah, huge underdog. And I mean, as he should be, as great of a fighter as he is not. He has never boxed. It is a great technical boxer, a guy that's 49-0. He's never lost in the ring, fighting a guy, or excuse me, let me use the correct term, boxing a guy who's never boxed professionally before, Conor McGregor. So naturally, the odds are going to be hugely stacked against him.
And rightfully so.
With all that being said, just real quick off the top of your head, what do you think, what kind of chances are you giving him? What do you think he'd have to do to win the fight?
He's made me look more like an idiot than any other fighter that I've ever talked about. So I'm not going to say he's not going to win this fight. But I'm not, in my heart, I don't think he will. I'm not going to say he can't, rather. So, I didn't think he beat Eddie Alvarez. I didn't think he beat Dustin Poirier. I didn't think he beat Jose Aldo. But I hear a lot of, and I said it too the other day. I was the main one saying it to all my friends when we were talking about it. Nate Diaz outboxed him. So what do you think McGregor's going to do to him? Mayweather.
Yeah.
But then I got to thinking, okay, in a UFC fight, you have to worry about kicks, you have to worry about takedowns, you have to worry about putting your back up against the cage. There's a lot of factors and variables that come into play. Whereas in boxing, he doesn't have to worry about throwing a big left hand all the time, because Mayweather's not going to take him down. Mayweather's not going to kick him upside the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we might get to see his boxing skills better than what you saw in the Diaz fight, because he picked Eddie Alvarez apart.
And if he comes back, which that's still a big question, if he does come back to the UFC, his boxing skills can only have improved.
Oh, man. I don't think he comes back after this.
Well, that was my next.
Why would you?
That was my next point, and I was going to stick to the fight for a second, but let's go ahead and jump into that. You don't think Conor will ever come back to the UFC after this? Explain why.
He's probably going to make over $100 million off of this fight here. Okay? In the UFC, he probably makes a ballpark of around 50 maybe a fight after all that, and he is the highest paid UFC fighter.
You think he makes that much? A fight?
I would probably say with all his pay-per-view revenue and everything he gets,
I wouldn't have guessed quite that much, but I definitely know he's the highest paid, for sure.
Now I'm guessing now, too. I'm not, this is not real numbers. numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know what he makes, but I'm guessing.
Well,
that's
I know
what
he
he
made.
makes.
I know this past year he made in the ballpark around $30 million. Like that was.
The year?
Yeah, for the year. Now
Okay, so he's probably making 10 a fight then.
he's making definitely 10 a fight. Now he also spends a ton, so there's that. Dana White has gone on record saying that McGregor has told him that he wants to fight knocked down before the year's over. Now, whether that's just Dana talking to please the UFC and all the corporate behind that, telling him that McGregor's coming back, we don't know, but that's what Dana is saying.
Well, you look at his track record, he's a fighter, that's for sure. The only thing he doesn't do is defend titles once he gets them. But he fights all the time.
Yeah.
He's more active than anybody except probably Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah. Just again, we can't say enough about it, and we're going to get into it way, as the data gets closer. But it's just going to be one of those things that if you're an MMA fan, you're definitely going to have to watch. I think a lot of boxing hardcores probably, I would say that they really don't like this. That would just be my guess, though.
There's a show on Sirius XM. I don't listen to it, but it comes on after Luke Thomas on Monday and Fridays. It's got Randy Gordon, who's a commissioner in New York of the boxing committee, and Jerry Cooney, who's a former heavyweight boxer, and they hate this. They cannot stand it. It is driving them completely crazy that they're doing this fight.
Well, because from a boxing standpoint, it's the greatest in the world at this point, at this moment, versus a guy who we mentioned before has never boxed professionally. So.
But who else would he make this much money with in boxing?
Nobody. So you can't blame him you can't blame Floyd Mayweather for taking the fight.
Exactly.
Well, before we move,
I would rather him not take it. I would rather Conor McGregor fight Tony Ferguson.
Yeah,
that's me speaking because I'm an MMA fan. I don't give two shits about boxing. I would not care if they never had another boxing match ever in the world. But that's my point of view. And I guess boxers and hardcore boxing fans might feel the same way as hardcore MMA fans.
Certainly, as two worlds colliding on August 26th, Floyd Mayweather, the boxer, versus Conor McGregor, the MMA fighter, and it will be in a boxing ring in Las Vegas. So before we move on from this, Cody, just anything else you want to say about Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor?
Yeah, I made an interesting point the other day on Luke Thomas' show, talking about what size ring I think we'll be boxing in. That's definitely going to have an effect on how much Floyd is able to run how much room Floyd has to run and move, and because Floyd is the fastest boxer ever in history. So I think he's going to try to make Conor whip at him as much as he can and wear those arms out.
Do you think that Floyd Mayweather will knock Conor McGregor out?
No, not a chance in hell.
Interesting point was brought up that the last time he actually knocked anybody out in a boxing ring was in 2011. His last 9 out of 10 fights he's won by decision.
Now, a lot of people say too that Conor's going to run out of gas, but you got to think boxing rounds are 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Correct?
No, yeah, they're not as long. They're not 5 minutes as long as UFC.
So you get more breaks and shorter rounds. So it probably equals out to about the same time of the title fight.
Yeah, roughly. I mean, a title fight in UFC is 5 rounds, 5 minutes, so it's 25 minutes. If a boxing round is 3 minutes and there's 12 rounds, I mean, yeah, it's longer, but like you said, you get more breaks and you don't have to worry about throwing kicks and getting takedown and all that other stuff like that. You're just worrying about punching and defending.
And I don't think Conor is worried a bit about holding his hands up by his face the whole time, because I don't think Floyd ain't going to feel like he's just tapping him. When he can take a punch from Jose Aldo, because when he knocked Aldo out, Aldo hit him with a haymaker.
Yeah.
And just knocked him back a little bit. Didn't even wouldn't phase him hardly.
For sure.
So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't think McGregor's going to win, but as long as he got his left arm, he got a chance.
Yeah, he's a southpaw, and traditionally Floyd has had, I don't want to say trouble because he's undefeated, but he's had more difficulty with southpaw fighters.
I didn't know that.
I don't know the exact statistics. I'm not a big boxing fan, so I'd have, I can't name any of the guys off the top of my head, but Dana White has said traditionally Floyd Mayweather's had, if you call them problems, because like I said, he's undefeated, he's had more issues with southpaw fighters.
Did you see the ticket prices for this?
No. What are they?
Okay. The cheapest seat that you can buy for this, which would be the nosebleeds, is $3,547.
Well.
Do you know the most expensive seat?
No, I do not.
Take a guess.
Probably around $35,000.
No.
I mean, am I more than that?
Oh, yeah.
60,000.
Way more.
$100,000?
$317,000.
My God.
Here we go. Money talk.
There's going to be a lot of money made on this fight, folks. Yeah, we're going to kind of leave it at that. We got some other things we need to talk about, but I will say this. I just had an update on pop up on my computer. Your brother, Chad Butler, commented on our post on Facebook. He's calling it right now. McGregor will knock him out. Will knock Mayweather out. That's your brother, Chad Butler, saying that.
And I will gladly take a wager on that one.
You have to contact him when we get done with this today.
That'll be the first person I call.
Don't take advantage of him now. Remember, he's your brother.
Hey, all's fair.
All's fair in love and war and betting. Okay, some other MMA news. We're just going to touch on this briefly. Mike Goldberg, former UFC play-by-play guy, and Mauro Ranallo from SmackDown fame, which we've covered a lot, they are both going to Bellator. They're going to call some fights for Bellator.
Great acquisition by Bellator.
Absolutely. Bellator has that fight coming up. I believe it's next weekend on pay-per-view. Chael Sonnen and Wanderlei Silva.
Yeah, in New York City.
And Fedor and Matt Mitrione as well, right?
Yeah, correct. I go back to the show all the time. I listen to it every day when I'm driving home from work. Luke Thomas's show, he breaks news when they signed, and he was talking about, Bellator's trying to get that old feel back to when MMA was golden. Back when you had those guys fighting. You had Wanderlei, you had Matt Hughes, you had Chael Sonnen. Goldberg was a commentator. You had, Fedor wasn't ever in the UFC. He was in Affliction. But you had him.
Right.
It's like what you're used to before the money and the circus guy took over,
Yeah.
You actually had number one fighting number two all the time.
Right.
And I think Bellator's going to get a lot of viewers and a lot more fans for going the way they're going now.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you right now, Cody, because I do agree with a lot of what you're saying lately. But they've also put on those freak show fights like Kimbo Slice and Dada 5000, and then Ken Shamrock and Hoist Gracie both being 50 years old fighting each other. They've done that too now. But I do agree with you. They're making the move more to the traditional. And yes, Chael Sonnen and Wanderlei Silva, neither of those guys are in their prime anymore, but they can still fight. So that's
agree.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of the Tito Chael Sonnen fight. I don't think that went great. But,
well, I predicted Chael to win that, and that just he got choked out in the first round. So.
Well, I did too, and I thought he lasted like he didn't even look like a shell of himself that he was in the UFC. That's not the same Chael Sonnen that fought Anderson Silva years ago.
Right.
It's kind of hard to watch sometimes with these fights, but I think Fedor and Matt Mitrione is going to be a hell of a fight. I think Matt Mitrione will be the heavyweight champion in Bellator before too much longer. And to me, the best fighter that's out there right now is Michael Venom Page.
Who's that?
Michael Venom Page.
What weight class is that?
I want to say he's 170 or 185, one or the other.
I'll have to look that up when we get off of there. Yeah, I just want
He's the one that took the flying knee and hit Cyborg and cracked his skull.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was brutal.
He sounded like a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Like he reminds me of Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva was in his prime, dancing all around and nobody can touch him.
Always looking for Bellator to succeed, because anytime these fighters have another place to go, that's only good. And competition brings out the best. So we've seen that in wrestling in the past with WWE and WCW.
And you see now what the lack of it's doing.
Yeah, what the lack of it's doing. Real quick on this, DJ, TJ, and Cody drama. You know where I'm going with this. Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw, Cody Garbrandt, they're all kind of involved in a little triangle right now. TJ supposed to fight Cody. Cody gets hurt. Cody Garbrandt, that is. TJ Dillashaw supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt gets hurt. TJ Dillashaw tries to fight Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson reportedly says no. Now Demetrius Johnson and Dana White are getting into it. Just have you heard much about this?
Yeah, I have. I don't know why DJ didn't want to fight him.
I agree.
No, I kind of do. I read what he said about his money. He wanted him to pay his show money, and if TJ didn't make the weight, he wanted him to pay his salary if he didn't want to fight. And they said they wouldn't do that.
Wait, say that. Wait, back that up one more time. What'd you say?
Okay, he wanted his show money and his win money if TJ didn't make weight, because TJ's never made 125. And he said, that guy's not even a flyweight. Why is he what makes him the number one contender for the flyweight belt? He said, that's the case, I can move up and fight Cody Garbrandt. I got more wins than TJ Dillashaw has. He's got a point.
He definitely does. He definitely has a point. But I also want to throw this out there. This guy is pound for pound the most dominant fighter in MMA today. And he's never had a big money fight because people, I hate to say it, people don't really care about 125-pound males going out there fighting. So the biggest fight for him to take and make the most money is TJ Dillashaw. So it's up to him. If you want to make the money.
I'm going to tell you the thing he's worried about too. I read somewhere where he said if TJ comes in and doesn't make weight, the fight's not for the belt. I don't get my record if I win. And what if something happens and I get hurt?
I mean,
and he's got all kind of issues, which I understand that. But why, if you want a money fight, like he said, and I agree with Dana White when he said he's tried to sell him 1,000,000 times, done everything he could to try to push him, because he has. But like you said, nobody wants to see 100. I mean, I don't even know a man that weighs 125 pounds.
Yeah, no, I don't either. So
I mean, I was 125 pounds when I was in the 4th grade. I'm not trying to watch some little guy fight that's 125 pounds.
That's not to say that he's not an exciting fighter. It's just those smaller guys don't draw. Now Conor is the exception, but he can run his mouth, And I mean,
Garbrandt too.
Yeah,
that's another one.
That's another one.
He got knockout power. DJ, I think the last guy he knocked out was Joseph Benavidez.
Something that we need to touch on real quick, and then we'll move on to WWE. But Dana White has also said that he's considered doing away with the 125-pound division if Demetrius Johnson doesn't take this fight.
Yeah, but he said that was a thing he talked about a long time ago because it wasn't selling. It doesn't even get viewers on Fox. You know what I mean? So it's pretty much no benefit to the UFC. He wants all those guys to fight up at 135 or 145, scatter them out through there.
Yeah.
But you got to look at it like this, too. When Demetrius Johnson was 135 pounds, Dominic Cruz beat him. And I want to say, I don't think him and TJ Dillashaw ever fought. But, I mean, he didn't really spring out until he got to 125. And that's where his bread is better. So, to me, from a career standpoint, he needs to just take this fight. I said this before, I'll probably say it 100 more times when we talk about guys. This is what they're doing now. You're a fighter. That's what you do for a living. Okay? Take the fight. I don't want to go to work all the time. I'm going to get my ass up when I go because that's what I'm supposed to do. Because it's my job. That's your job. Sign a damn contract and fight.
Yeah,
like he's asking to fight Steve Miocic, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I wonder if there's a chance that he would move up and fight TJ, just kind of like as a super fight.
I think he wanted that Cody Garbrandt fight. Because they talked for a while about him and Dominic Cruz fighting again as a super fight. But Dominic Cruz ended up losing the belt. I think, too, TJ has everything to lose here. TJ has to make weight, doesn't know what that extra 10 pounds is going to do to his body, doesn't know how he's going to perform, and then if he gets knocked out or gets beat, then he's no longer the number one contender in 135, can't be.
Right.
So, I mean, it's all TJ's to lose. Demetrius Johnson, he needs to go ahead and just sign the fight to me.
Let's get on to some wrestling news. Cody, I just wanted to touch on a quick things before we get to Money in the Bank. The Money in the Bank pay-per-view is this weekend. That's a SmackDown exclusive event on the WWE Network. But real quick, I know you haven't been watching SmackDown as much as you've been watching Raw, but what are your opinions on the overall product since WrestleMania? From the Raw after to up to now. You know, we've had a good 2.5 months, almost 3 months since WrestleMania.
I still think it's a stronger show.
SmackDown?
Yeah. I think you got more people in the main event picture now on Raw than you had before. But as a show overall, SmackDown's more entertaining still.
Have you been catching SmackDown?
Not the last 2 weeks.
But you have been watching it more.
Yeah.
And are you starting to see improvements from Raw too? Because I am, personally.
I definitely am.
I mean, the angle they done with Samoa Joe is now the number one contender to Brock Lesnar's Universal title. Their brawl they got into this past Monday was one of the best angles of the year so far.
And I like that because a lot of the times when they have Brock on Raw, he just comes out there and hops up and down and does a promo.
Yeah, Heyman talks for
They
him.
actually let him fight this time. They let him, and they need to do that every time they have him on Raw.
Yeah,
because wasting his appearance if you don't let him do something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. You have him for a limited amount of dates for the year. He's a special attraction. Try to make the most of him when he's on there. I mean, I've said that for forever now,
Yeah.
Let's hit on a few quick points. Jinder Mahal, your favorite wrestler, the WWE Heavyweight Champion, came out with an interview today that his dream opponent, he wants to wrestle The Rock one day.
So he can't even lace The Rock's boots.
We'll leave that one at that. Yeah, certainly if The Rock comes,
The Rock's clothes somewhere.
if The Rock comes back, I definitely want to see him face somebody with a little bit more high profile. Let's get on to this. There's reports that Triple H is frustrated with Vince McMahon over NXT superstars or the way they're being handled when they debut on both Raw and SmackDown.
I wanted to talk to you about this, and I'm glad you brought this up because I forgot all about it. Do you think, overall, because you watch NXT, I just read about it, do you think NXT has a better product as its own? So NXT was like a WCW going up against WWE. Do you think they have a better product than Raw and SmackDown?
Okay, so just to be clarified, are you asking me, do they have a better product on the TV show, or could they compete legitimately and steal ratings away from WWE, from Raw and SmackDown?
Okay, but both.
Yes, consistently they have a better, for the most part. They had, after they had a little bit of a lull this past fall and going into WrestleMania season because a lot of their superstars made the jump to Raw and SmackDown when the draft happened. So they had to build that roster back up, and they had to go out and sign guys like Drew McIntyre and Roderick Strong and guys like that. But bell to bell on a just consistency basis, yes, they have a better in-ring product, and they tell better stories. Those takeover events, I mean, you don't have those DQ finishes and stuff like that you have on Raw and SmackDown all the time, and even on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, but it's ran by two different people. Is what I'm getting at.
But but hold up, to your second point, I don't think that they have big enough stars yet anyway to I would still take Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, and all those guys versus the best of NXT is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying like if they were at WCW and they could sign those guys away from WWE, just like WCW did with those guys. If they were competing, do you think they could compete? Say you throw a couple guys on there, as far as the show goes.
I think that if NXT was a separate brand, not affiliated with WWE, and they were doing everything they're doing right now, I think that they would be the number 2 promotion in America. They would be the TNA or the Ring of Honor right now. You know, not talking about New Japan across the seas, but they would be number 2 for sure.
All right, this is what I'm getting at with this. I think it's time for Vince McMahon to hang it up. Triple H has come out to NXT and has done a phenomenal job with it. Has made a lot of people change over and watch NXT, and I've heard a lot of people say NXT is what you just said, has a way better in-ring product than Raw or SmackDown.
They tell better stories on a consistent basis.
Now that being said, I also heard that Vince McMahon, the reason all these guys are getting shit on when they come over here is because these older superstars will come in there and have backstage issues with them. And they'll go to Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon will make them do dumb shit and kind of kill them, because besides Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, really, anybody come over from NXT really hadn't done anything.
No, I think Kevin Owens has definitely, he's definitely made the most of. He's probably been the most successful thus far. Now the women, they've had Charlotte and Sasha Banks and all those ladies. I mean, they've done phenomenal.
The women's division.
Yeah.
Know what I mean, I was thinking. I heard listened to an interview today. I can't remember who it was on YouTube, and I was listening to it, and they were talking about how Vince lets John Cena and ones like that have been in the company for a while come in there, and whatever they say about those young guys, he takes it and runs with it.
I haven't heard any names. I can't really call Cena out like that because
I'm telling you what I heard. This is what the interview I listened to today. And Triple H isn't doing that on NXT. Like, he made these guys come out of the Indies and come over there, and they get shit on, get sent back down for being a number one. This guy, I tell you who I listened to, Ryback. That's who it was. Talking about Alex Riley.
Yeah.
He said Alex Riley, something happened with Cena and Alex Riley when they were coming up, and he has not liked Alex Riley since then.
That
Ohio Valley wrestling.
I've definitely read that before. Continue the story, and then I'll comment. Well,
He said Alex Riley had a good look, was a hell of a worker, busted his ass, and could never get ahead because Cena was the man in Vince's eyes and kept Riley down, going there in his office and talking about it. They said Triple H, the reason he made NXT, one of the reasons was to do away with that. Because now you got this own brand that he made that's his, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. Because Vince has nothing to do with NXT. Of course, he runs the company, but I mean, as far as day-to-day operations in NXT, Vince doesn't fool with it. That's all Triple H's baby. So those guys can come up and they can develop and they can get to where they need to get. But now it seems like when they come on Raw or SmackDown, they just get shit on.
Two comments to make to that. So the first one about the Alex Riley and John Cena thing. That story's out there. That's common knowledge. Yeah. Also, but take a little insight to who's given that story to. Ryback is a guy who's been very bitter since he's been released because he was very vocal that he thought he should have John Cena's spot. And no, I mean, I'll just come out and say it. You're not as good as him, dude. So take that for what it is. I do think there's a little truth to there. As far as Vince stepping down, I can't say that and be comfortable saying it. And part of it is that he's run the ship since the beginning. But I do think that he's out of touch with certain things. However, I don't think the problem lies with him. For example, he was the one who made the call that, Undertaker, you're not going to wrestle John Cena at WrestleMania like you want to. You're going to wrestle Roman Reigns. And you and I bitched about that to the lead up to WrestleMania the whole entire time. But we said afterwards that was the right decision, and it was obviously that was a Vince call. And that's just one example. I don't know if it's time for him to step down. I mean, he runs the company. He'll step down when he wants to step down, and he may never do it. He may do it till he dies, and he's in great shape and stuff. So who knows when that'll be. But, I just think that you need better people in the creative department. Road Dogg has taken over SmackDown and kind of took the lead with that. He runs the creative team over there, and they've jumped leaps and bounds. I think you need a guy like, I'm just going to throw out names, like a Paul Heyman or a Jim Cornette or somebody like that can do that with Raw, and maybe Vince take a little step back and not as much of a hands-on approach, and I think things might run a little smoother.
I'm thinking the same thing, but the deal is, too, Triple H could probably run a better week-to-week program than Vince McMahon could. Because Vince McMahon is old, set in his ways, Triple H kind of, I think, would evolve with the times more than Vince McMahon would.
Well, he's a newer generation, and you have a point to that.
Now, as far as making those big decisions, that was a great decision after the fact that, we sat back and looked at it after it happened, to have The Undertaker lose to Roman Reigns and not face Cena. Because Cena didn't need to win. Reigns needed that for his career. But I'm not saying Vince can't make those big decisions anymore like that, but for a week-to-week basis, I think you need to let somebody else take the helm.
I can see what you're saying. I just think that I think we need to move on after this point, but he's the greatest promoter that's ever lived. And I know that UFC makes more money than WWE does at this point, but when you come out and you tell people that your product is scripted and these people who are winning these matches aren't really winning them, and you still make the money that they make, he's the greatest promoter of all time. So it's just it's going to be really strange whenever he's not in WWE anymore. And I'll make that comment and we can move on. A couple quick points before we hit Money in the Bank. Braun Strowman has been cleared to return. I know you're looking forward to that. He was probably the best part of Raw before he went out with that elbow injury.
Yeah, he was until he got the injury, and they kind of made him look weak right at the end.
He's rumored to face Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at SummerSlam. Universal title, excuse me.
I'm all for that. I mean, that'd be a great match.
Rusev has also been cleared to return, and he's on SmackDown now. So I miss old Rusev. That was he was hot there for a while when he was feuding with John Cena.
Yeah, he was. He's one of those guys that kind of like a Jinder Mahal that made you hate him, except Jinder Mahal used to be in 3MB, so it's not believable that he's the heavyweight champion. Rusev kind of made you believe that he was unstoppable.
Yeah, big guy. Speaking of John Cena, he's going to return on the July 4th episode of SmackDown. He's been on a hiatus, so I think when he returns, that'll definitely be more interest in the product, just because he still sells.
He's probably one of the greatest of all time. He's the Hulk Hogan of this generation.
Speaking of one of the greatest of all time, Kurt Angle is rumored to wrestle soon, or within this year, maybe at WrestleMania. Can you guess who his rumored opponent is?
I read this. Triple H.
How awesome would that be?
I think it'd be great. Triple H can still get in the ring and go.
Right. And
I know Angle can too.
And if you
He's in great shape.
if you put Kurt Angle in there with Triple H, you really don't have to worry about anything can happen, but you don't have to worry about risking significant injury because of how good of workers they are and how good of a worker Triple H is.
Exactly. And also, they're not your week-to-week wrestlers either.
It's more of an attraction type thing, yeah.
Exactly. You throw them in there for guys like us that watched them when we were kids, and then there it is.
Jumping back to the Vince McMahon point thing, I think that's something that he does really good that we need to point out. He can book those attractions, the Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg, the squash, and then the whole story behind that. The Undertaker, You know, John Cena has kind of turned into an attraction now. He knows what he's doing with that. But with the everyday guys, I will give you something when you say that, you know, he may be out of touch with a lot of the newer guys that are coming in, such as Kevin Owens, such as Sami Zayn, even Shinsuke Nakamura a little bit. One guy who he's treated pretty well since he's come in, and I was kind of surprised about this, AJ Styles.
Yeah. I agree, because most of the time he puts those guys through the fire before he gives them anything.
Let's jump to Money in the Bank now. We've been at this for 42 minutes, so we'll try to get this relatively quickly, but we won't not go over a match. So on the pre-show, Zack Ryder is back, and he's reforming his tag team with Mojo Rawley. They're the Hype Brothers. They're going to face the Colognes. Are you excited to see these two form a tag team back together?
Yes, I am. And I was about to make that point a while ago when we were talking about Alex Riley. Zack Ryder was one of my favorite wrestlers when he first came on the scene. I was a big fan of Zack Ryder, the internet champion.
Yeah.
I was a big fan. Yeah, I still like him. When he won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, I about went nuts. And then he lost it the next day.
So we're hoping that they can form a good tag team and just stay relevant, those two guys.
I'd like to see those guys in title contention. Both of them are great wrestlers.
So in the SmackDown Women's Money in the Bank match, we have Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Natalya, Tamina, and Carmella. Cody, are you excited to see a Women's Money in the Bank match?
Yeah, I think these crew of ladies can really pull it off.
Who you got winning?
I'm about to go with Charlotte, man. She's the most athletic and the best women's wrestler in the world, in my opinion.
I agree. You know, I don't really know who will win. I'm kind of leaning more towards Natalya since she's formed that little stable. Charlotte doesn't really need the Money in the Bank briefcase because she's already been established. But I really won't be disappointed with any woman that wins this match. So
it wouldn't hurt my feelings if Natalya won it. That's my boo.
Shout out Natalya. The New Day. The New Day just made their debut on SmackDown, and they're going to face the Usos for the tag team titles.
I like this one.
SmackDown was in a dire need for some more tag teams, and they definitely have more star power on the show now that the New Day is back. And it's certainly going to be interesting. The Usos have kind of had a character overhaul, and I like their characters right now.
I do too. I like the dark side of them.
Right.
I was always a fan of those guys too. They could always go. I watched them at a live show one time, man. They were great.
Man, they had a great match against Luke Harper and Eric Rowan on a pay-per-view one time, and that was the best match on the entire card. I mean, they blew it out of the water. So I've always been fans of those guys. I think that for some reason I just see the WWE putting the title on the New Day just because they can sell a ton of damn merchandise. I mean, they move the needle when it comes to that.
Yeah, you know, when we went to SmackDown, well, the boy wanted a New Day shirt.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one. Lana, the Ravishing Russian, is making her in-ring debut, and in it, she's going to face Naomi for the SmackDown Women's title. What do you think about Lana finally stepping in the ring and, you know, having a match?
I think the new finishing move she got's great.
I didn't see it. What is it?
It's kind of like a spine buster type deal, except she kind of puts her hand on her chest and slams into the ground.
Do you think
her arms extended? It looks pretty good.
Do you think that she could win the title here in her debut match?
Man, Jinder Mahal's a champion. I wouldn't say anything's impossible. I wouldn't mind if she did.
She's over as hell with the crowd.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a feeling that they're gonna. I don't think she'll win it straight up. And I'm a fan of Naomi's too, but I don't think Lana will win the title straight up. But I mean, like you said, anything can happen, and if she's over with the crowd, man, they can't keep it off her for long.
I agree.
That's
what it's all about.
I hope that she doesn't just get in there and completely flop in the ring, though.
I don't think she will. I don't think they would even put her in that spot if she couldn't go.
Let's get to what I think will be the match of the night. These Money in the Bank matches are always they're always something to look forward to. You got Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and Shinsuke Nakamura in a Money in the Bank ladder match. That's just indie darling's wet dream right there with all those guys.
Yeah, you're right.
let's kind of break this down by each competitor. Kevin Owens, what do you think about him winning it?
I don't think he needs it.
I agree with you 100%. And not saying that he doesn't deserve it, but he's doing a great job with that U.S. title. And
he's making that relevant again.
Yeah, I just think you run with him for that. And again, kind of to the next guy, AJ Styles, like you said, same thing. He doesn't need it. I mean, he's going to get back in title contention very soon. He's already been established. I really think the top 3 candidates to win will either be Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, or Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't think Ziggler really has a chance.
I don't think he does either. I think he's in there to take a fall, you know?
Yeah.
Climb up there and fall off the ladder onto more ladders. But Baron Corbin, in my opinion, is going to win this match.
I agree.
I would have said Nakamura, but after they let him get the briefcase on Tuesday night, I'm going to say he's not going to get it. That's almost a sign that if they do that before the pay-per-view, that guy's not going to win. So, and Baron Corbin is driving me nuts with the damn skinny jeans and the beanie.
He's a heel.
You're supposed to be this big bad son of a bitch, and you got skinny jeans on and a beanie.
But you don't like that, do you?
No, I don't like it. But it doesn't matter what I like. I mean, people in New York wear that shit all the time.
I just want to touch on Zayn and Nakamura real quick. I do think that they have chances to win it. Zayn's the ultimate underdog. They got to pull the trigger on him at some point.
I picked Henry to win Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and I thought he was going to win it.
So did I. Shinsuke Nakamura, again, he could always get the briefcase, and nobody's gonna be disappointed or cry if he does. But I just really think that the briefcase always works better when a heel has it. And Baron Corbin, other than Kevin Owens, is the most over heel in this match.
Yeah, and you're right. It's almost all the time a heel wins the Money in the Bank.
He's progressed a lot, too, in the ring. I mean, me and you saw him wrestle John Cena at the River Center on SmackDown one night, and just he had already progressed a lot from making his debut to then, and then just from there, it just looks like he's getting better every week in the ring-wise.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm going to tell you something. I remember watching the last pay-per-view SmackDown had, and I remember watching his match with Sami Zayn, and then I remember watching AJ Styles and Kevin Owens right after that. And it was like a whole other world in there.
Yeah, no.
He's got a ways to go before he get, but don't get me wrong, he can probably take that belt and run with it and do a good job.
Like you said, Jinder Mahal's the heavyweight champion, so anything can happen.
Yeah, what the hell? You put that belt somewhere else worth. Doesn't really make a difference if you can put on Jinder Mahal.
Let's get
to the WCW days where David Arquette was a champion.
Let's get to that match. Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship in Randy Orton's hometown of St. Louis, Missouri.
No way he wins the match. Not a chance.
Explain.
They're not going to do all they did building up Jinder Mahal to let him have the belt for 2 months, month and a half, and then take it off of him.
So I want to bring this up before we kind of break down the match any further. It's obvious that you weren't a fan of Jinder Mahal winning the belt, and neither was I. You just been more vocal about it. But what do you think how do you think the way they booked him, including that night at Backlash, that match, and then from there, how do you think? What grade would you give this? Try to take your feelings out of it. What grade would you give it?
A B or a C.
So you're not completely disappointed, but...
No, I just don't like him. But he's doing what he's supposed to do as a heel. And there's that addition of the Singh brothers. I mean, that throws them in there. That makes him even better.
Randy Orton looked great at that match at Backlash. I mean, he looked motivated. He looked better than he's looked in a while in that match. And
I would agree.
You know, I think this might be a good one though, because this is going to be a hot crowd. They're going to be rooting for Randy Orton hard, and of course Mahal is is a heel that nobody really likes. So crowd reaction could make this match a lot better than what it should be.
I think it will make it a whole lot better, but I think they're going to go apeshit nuts at the end when Randy Orton loses. But, I mean, anybody that knows wrestling knows he's not going to win this match.
I agree with you. And
unless they're going to let them go to SummerSlam, and he's going to take it off of him again at SummerSlam.
I've already mentioned what I want to see SummerSlam, AJ Styles and Randy Orton. So I'm hoping Orton wins the belt, Money in the Bank. I'm not counting on it. I'm like you. I think Jinder Mahal will win. But again, we'll just have to see this Sunday on the WWE Network. So,
and then again, I got to tell you like this too. He took the belt off my favorite wrestler. So I mean, that's kind of makes me sour too towards it.
Certainly understandable. LSU is in the College World Series. Game 1 is Saturday at 7 p.m. against Florida State. Let's touch on this real quick. This team's hot, man.
Yeah, definitely. After the little halt till the 7th or 8th inning the other night, they came back and put it on Mississippi State in the second game at about 1:30 in the morning, because I passed by going to work at about 2, and they were still people in the stands.
Yeah.
And people walking across the road and stuff going to their cars.
Have you been following the World Series and the Super Regionals and stuff thus far? Or just kind of LSU?
I followed LSU's and I followed Southern Misses, because a guy that was our ball boy when I was in high school, a little kid, he's not a little kid anymore, he just got drafted to the Mariners. Randy Bell was pitching for South Alabama, so I followed them.
What do you think the Tigers' chance of winning the whole thing are?
Oh, I think they're the most complete team in it.
Pitching, hitting. Yeah.
I know Louisville has that guy, my buddy Alex was talking about it another day. He's a pitcher and he's a DH. So I think they'll be tough.
Yeah, they're coming in ranked number 7, I think.
Yeah.
TCU will be tough.
The complete team is LSU.
I agree with you. From the pitching, the fielding, the batting, of course. Dude, the bullpen. Oh, my God.
Create a spark.
The bullpen.
And lift that team. I said any guy on that line 1 through 9 can create a spark, and the other guys feed off of that.
It's certainly going to be good to watch. Check out Game 1 for the LSU Tigers tomorrow, Saturday night, 7 p.m. against Florida State. Cody, we've gone damn near an hour here. Anything else you want to talk about?
I think we covered it all, man. We got a lot of stuff in and a lot of stuff we needed to talk about.
Absolutely. As always.
Hold on. What's the deal with the guy we interviewed? You heard anything else about him?
Matthew Cater.
Yeah, he's been kind of silent.
Haven't heard anything, man, but isn't that next Sunday, June 25th?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try to reach out to him again and kind of see what just throw a text to him or something and see what the status on that is.
I know he's predominantly on Twitter, and I really don't get on there.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that much about it, though.
Yeah. I don't know. We need to reach out to him, see if we can't get him on one more time before he goes down there. Let's see if he's still going down there at all.
We'll certainly try to do that as soon as we can and have an update on that situation. Matthew Cater, the bodybuilder, trying to go out there and fight Cody Garbrandt, Team Alpha Male. June 25th, that's what he says. So we'll look forward to that. As always, you can check us out on Facebook. There's the Bell with Max Hawkins and Cody Butler. Cody, your favorite thing to always say?
Let us know what you think. You like us, you hate us, give your opinion. We like all criticism.
We've been getting a little bit more movement on that.
Yeah. I think we need to, like I told you the other day, try to get some guys on here and talk to some people. Yeah, it's fun to get on here, and I love talking with you about this stuff and get our opinions out there. Maybe the people want to hear interviews. So y'all let us know what y'all think. If y'all want us to do interviews with different people, local fighters, see what we can get. If y'all want to hear more of that, let us know. If y'all want to sit here and let us talk your head off all night, let us know.
We can reach out to the UFC gym in Baton Rouge right there. They've got a lot of cool people over there, so I know some of the guys over there. So that's certainly a possibility. As always, check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter at There's the Bell 17. YouTube. One more time though, say prayers for Matt Hughes. You know, we don't really have a status update at this point. He was in a wreck, you know, and just he's in some sort of condition. He was airlifted to a hospital, so.
Can't be good.
No, prayers to him and his family, though.
Yeah, most definitely prayers for Matt Hughes and his family.
All right, Cody, it was good talking to you.
You too, Max.
And you're only getting mugged if you go downtown. I live back in the woods, you see. My woman and the kids and the dogs and me. I got a shotgun, a rifle, and a four-wheel drive, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.